Hey guys, and welcome back. You're watching the Camera 64 podcast, and I am your host, Alfonso Chavez. And as always, we're coming to you from sunny San Antonio, from Texas, from here in the garage, guys. And I know I haven't had a chance to make a video, which in a way is a good thing for myself because that means I had a lot of work. And as many of you know, I've been struggling just a bit because there just hasn't been much work out there for the price that I charge to do what I do. But fortunately, we got some last minute jobs. There's some things going on, right? So, where do I get most of my work at? I get it on Facebook. And so, a lot of the jobs we've been picking up are jobs that other photographers actually had, and they were last minute cancels. So, they were canceling out 2 or 3 weeks before the actual event. And one event that we did, they actually canceled out the day before the actual wedding, which is craziness. That's crazy that somebody, especially somebody like myself who makes a living off of photography, who would schedule a job and then not even follow through with it, right? To make sure that the client is taken care of and that you're providing the service that they're paying for. So there were some things that I did find out. The photographer that they had hired was only charging them $500. So, guys, if you're a photographer and you're serious about making some money in this business, make sure that you follow through on whatever it is that you're promising the client. So, sure, I do charge more than most photographers here in San Antonio, and I'm not the highest top of the tier by any means at all. There's other photographers who do charge a lot more than I do. Um, but for whatever level that you're at, right? Or let's put it plain, keep it blunt and plain and simple. If you're charging at all and you're saying you're going to be there at this time and you're going to be there till that time, make sure you follow through. And I think if you can manage to do that and do it well, I think you'll have work. You'll have some work. I've never missed an event. I did 2 events while having in a bout of COVID, which some people would say, why did you do that? But I did wear a mask during that, got through it, and one of them, I really was sick as a dog. And I still managed to get through the event. So that's just my little sprint about why I haven't made a video. But today in this video, guys, I want to talk to you about something that happened at this event that I got here on my big monitor back here that I'm working on. And that was for a quinceañera that we just did this past weekend. And the week before, we actually did uh, an event for a photo booth. It was a Burbank reunion class of 1974, and we were doing a photo booth. And so, if you've ever done photo booth before, you know that if you're going to do print on site, you always want to lower the quality of your camera so that way you're able to move the pictures quickly. You're able to take the picture, have the picture exported, and have it available for immediately being able to print that. And so obviously I lowered the level. I didn't go to the S, but I did go to the medium, which is about an 8 megapixel file. And I forgot it. I left the camera on that setting, 8 megapixels. It was recording to both cards, which is another thing that I never do. I always shoot RAW and JPEG at the same time, going to both cards. And for whatever reason, I just changed it all to the M, like I said, which is an 8 megabit file, and I left it there and didn't think twice about it. So when I got to this quinceañera that we just did this past weekend, I forgot to change the camera back. I forgot to go back to the raw setting, and I didn't realize it. I shot the entire day. I never realized it until I actually went back to look at a picture, because it was a kind of a tough situation at the hall where she was in a dark corner, and I just wanted to check exposure. And when I went in there to really check exposure, which I very rarely do, I usually do it just by looking at the back of the LCD after I take the picture, I'm really good at being able to look at it and judging exposure. But because this particular situation was back in the corner and we were cutting the cake and it was really dark in that corner, I just said, well, let me just double check. Let me look at the histogram. So I opened the histogram, and when I flipped to the second picture, I immediately saw it where it said JPG Medium. So my reaction at the time was, oh my gosh, I just shot 700 pictures in JPG Medium. So the question is, was it shot? And I genuinely thought that my whole day was shot. Now, actually, in reality, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as I was imagining that it was going to be. Now, as I started getting into the edit, I did notice a few things. And one of the things is that correcting color after the fact is one of the hardest things in JPEG to do, because it doesn't allow you enough latitude in the JPEG file. So this particular church, it was just like a neighborhood church. It was a small church, nice church, but they had a red floor. They had red benches. Some of the walls were painted red. So you can imagine what happened in that situation, right? As I was taking pictures, because the place was so small, it was a tight, like I didn't want to set up any lights or anything like that, any flashes. And in general, I don't like to shoot with flashes at churches anyway. So we had that going on. It was really dark down the center of the church, but we also had windows running along both sides, huge windows. So a lot of light was coming in from the sides. So if they were standing next to the light, it was beautiful. But if they were in the middle aisle, it was super dark. That was one of the things. So by raising my ISO, I did get a kind of a pleasing shot. But because of all the red that was on the bottom, because of the red carpet and the red benches and so on and so forth, the sun was coming in, bouncing off of that red carpet, and was giving a red glow that was kind of coming up from the bottom, which if you have a raw file is actually really easy to correct, because it has happened to me. It's not the first time this has happened to me, but it was a slight issue with the fact that it was shot in JPEG, because now the corrections that I normally would have applied to a raw file, I'm not able to apply those corrections in a JPEG file. Now, the files look okay. Like for me personally, it's okay. That's it. Like it'll pass. The client will never think anything about it, and even if she did say something about it, it's really easy to explain the situation, right? To be able to to smooth it over. You can smooth it over with a client pretty easy. It's very explanatory as to why there's a red tint in some of the pictures. I did my best to try and get rid of it, but again, it's a JPEG file, so I'm not able to really make those corrections as I normally would. That was one of the situations. The other situation was, of course, the noise level, right? When you on a JPEG file, the noise doesn't clean up nearly as well. And I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm no noise expert. I'm no editing quote unquote expert in all the details, but I think that when you shoot raw, that there's something coming out of the camera that actually applies some raw denoising. And I think if I'm correct, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but I think Lightroom also notices that you have a raw file and applies some noise, some level of noise reduction. And I think it's dependent upon the ISO that you have when you took the picture, because I know DxO does it, and I know that Topaz does it. So because those two do it, I really think that it's a part of Lightroom. They may not announce it or talk about it, but I think it's going on, because even with the camera that I shoot now, I shot this particular event with my favorite camera, which is the 1D Mark IV, which is only 16 megapixels, and I can shoot all the way. I have no issue shooting all the way up to 6400 ISO on this camera, and it cleans up really nicely. And very rarely do I have to add noise reduction unless it's like super dark. But either way, if that's the case, in general, I'll add in some level of noise reduction if in those kinds of really dark situations, and it cleans up the files, clean up nicely. Um, and then finally, I made the jump to RAW, but I think I only ended up shooting like 150 pictures in RAW at the very end. And if you're an event photographer, you know that the pictures at the very end, like the last hour and a half, 2 hours, are not pictures that are super important. It's really just them dancing, so it's kind of more of a fun kind of pictures. I wouldn't consider those to be super important or necessary. Uh, so yeah, my initial reaction was, my gosh, what did I just do? I shot this whole thing, and not only did I shoot it in JPEG, but I shot it in JPG Medium, eight 8 megapixel files. Gosh, what a mistake. See, and even I'm a photographer with over 20 years of experience, and I still um, make mistakes. It's something that happens, right? I just got sidetracked. I was thinking about something else and didn't think twice. Grabbed the camera, started shooting, threw a battery in it, and started shooting, right? Didn't think twice about it, but luckily I'm good enough. The camera is good enough, and the current software uh, from Lightroom is good enough. So for all my photographer friends out there who have not yet ventured into shooting RAW, you can get by with JPEG as long as you know what you're doing, as long as your exposures are right. And the biggest thing that for me doing this edit on these JPEGs now is the color. Believe it or not, if the color is correct, then the camera does a really good job with exposure most of the time. There's a few pictures that I ended up dumping out because it kind of overexposed, and you're not able to pull it back like you do in a RAW. But with the exception of that, I mean, as long as the colors in the picture were correct, the JPEG files are pretty good. So if you're a color balance guy, if you set your white balance for each location. So if I would have known and set my church color balance right there at the church, or did a custom, I think I would have gotten a whole lot better JPEGs, and it would have actually worked. I'll be honest with you, shooting JPEG would have worked. Same thing at the hall. If I would have set my color balance correctly and not had it in auto, because I always do it in auto because I don't want to think about it uh, shooting RAW. But in JPEG, again, if you know that you're going to shoot in JPEG, and if you can manage to set a custom white balance or choose the correct white balance for the situation, I think the JPEG will be just fine. I really do think so. I just wanted to share this story with you because it allowed me to create a video, and it's something that actually happened. I always prefer sharing stories of stuff that actually happens. So what's the drawback, or what's the point of this video, is that even though I've been doing this for a long time, I still make mistakes, and shooting certain things like shooting RAW is not absolutely necessary. You can shoot JPEGs. There's just some things you gotta keep an eye out for. So that's been my story. Oh, and also this week we happened to be in a pawn shop. I stopped at a pawn shop near my house after dropping my son off at work, and we came across these beautiful COD lights, Ataram. They're 65 watts, and so I'm using one of these right now with a little dome diffuser on it, which is going to allow me to add some lights to our video setup. So I'm super excited about that. If you want to know more about those, I can create a video about those too, because we're definitely gonna put them to use. Some of the things I'm looking to add to it though is I want to do a mag mount with an XL diffuser for it, so that way we get a little bit more spread. I'm using a homemade little dome light here to kind of give it a little nice soft look to it. But let me know what you think about the light on me. In my opinion, I think it looks really good. But that's been the video for today, guys, and hopefully I can get back to making some video. I'm gonna have some couple of weeks off before we get back into another little bit of a rush here in November. So hopefully I can make some more videos. I hope everybody has been fine. I appreciate the people that do stop by and watch my videos. It means a lot to me. And if there's anything that you would like to see me talk about, give my opinion about something, please just go down below, leave us a comment. And you can visit our website too if you want to see what we're doing. You can also visit the website. That's www.camera64.com. And also I'll share some links below. And if you buy some used gear, which I always recommend, you can do that on eBay. And I'll leave some links. If you use those links below, they are affiliate links, and I do get a small commission. Some of them are a 0.5%, as much as high as like 3 or 4%. So on a $100 item, I get paid like $3 or so. But it helps. Any little bit helps. And if you feel that you want to help our channel out, then use the link and buy what you need. So till next time, guys, that's been the Camera 64 podcast. And as always, I'm your host, coming to you from the garage. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Till next time, guys, take care. Go out, shoot some videos, shoot some pictures, and let us know what you think of this video by giving us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.